Today, I want to talk to you about safety of you and your family. Now, I'm not talking about safety against criminals or getting robbed, that kind of thing. I'm talking about safety in your everyday walk of life, concerning daily risk of just kind of moving about the world. Risks that could be life-threatening, but yet we choose to live with these conditions or activities anyway. Now, there's a big question here, and I really want you to ask yourself, why would we do that? Why would we knowingly subject ourselves, our children, to situations, circumstances, activities that could seriously injure or, in fact, kill them? Or kill us?
Some skiers can be seen jumping off before the chairs crash into one another.
That's the real story. Now, hopefully I'm making you think here by asking yourself the questions. What are the risks that I live with? Do I make a conscious decision to live with them, or am I just not thinking about it? Am I assuming somebody else is looking out for me and mine? I'll bet if you do stop and think about it, you would say you're aware that you take a certain amount of risk every day regarding you and your family, and that's just life. I mean, let's face it, we can't live in a bubble, right? So where is the line? You can't live in a bubble, but where is the line about what is an acceptable level of risk and who decides what that is? Is it you? Is it some manufacturer of something you use, maybe your car or a ladder or your house? Is it the government? Now, I'm not talking about scraping your knee or little Johnny bumping his head.
Run around, scrape your knees, get dirty.
I'm talking about life-threatening, life-changing, or life-ending risks that you, me, all of us live with every day. Now, somewhere in the back of our mind, do we think there's some big overriding force that's watching out for us? Maybe that God's looking out for us, maybe the government who makes sure that we're fundamentally safe. Have we abdicated the role of our own safekeeping? I've actually heard people say, hey, this is government regulated, so it must be okay. Oh my.
Oh my.
Every time you drive, swim, take a ride on one of these carnival rides or at the fair, you're agreeing to a deal that was made, a bargain that was reached that impacted you and your family, but you weren't consulted. You weren't in the room. And here's the deal. It was a deal about a certain circumstance, situation, or activity that said a certain number of people will be seriously injured or die if this is allowed to go forward. And we can pretty well predict what that is. How many people are going to be injured or die, and we've decided that's okay. Now, I'm not being facetious or sarcastic. I'm not trying to be dramatic. That's just reality. I'm not even saying it's wrong. That's for you to decide. You just need to be aware of the process. Today, the real story is about the concept and reality of acceptable risk. How decisions are made about how much injury or loss of life is okay. Let's look at some headlines. U.S. traffic deaths fell 3.8% in 2024, lowest number since 2020. And by the way, as we'll talk about in a minute, that was almost 40,000 people. Another headline, 5 million above-ground pools are recalled after deaths of 9 kids. Another headline, Texas officials long feared for riverbank summer camps. A warning system was rejected as too expensive. So, what is acceptable risk? Now, you can go look in the dictionary. Oxford says it's a risk that has significantly smaller and or fewer detrimental consequences than the potential hazards of alternative courses of action. So they're saying it's acceptable if it's different than something that would be worse. It's also sometimes called acceptable breakage or even acceptable casualties. Okay, we've agreed nothing in life is totally safe and everything carries risk. Some of that risk clearly is fatal. But for the sake of convenience, utility, entertainment, or maybe national security, we accept certain levels of loss, including death. It's part of life, right? It's a term that our military uses, especially during wartime. Like, for example, we all know about D-Day. Casualty projections were 30 to 50%. We were sending troops into that operation expecting as much as half of our troops were not going to make it. And with airborne troops, it was expected that 70% might be lost, but yet we still proceeded. And then there are modern drone strikes. The Pentagon acknowledges systemic risk of civilian collateral damage as part of operational risk. We look at estimates between 22,000 and 48,000 civilian deaths from U.S. drone and airstrikes since 9/11. It's acceptable that people will die to protect you and this country. That decision has been made. We also see this in day-to-day life, though, not just in war. Take, for example, every time you get in a car. 39,345 U.S. traffic deaths in 2024. That's a lot of people. I don't know what state you live in, but we know that the loss of life with a 70-mile-per-hour speed limit is higher than a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. Yet some states, including the one I live in, choose 70 over 55. Well, why? They know there will be more crashes, and when you crash at 70 versus 55, more people are going to die. So the decision has been made that there's more utility. You can get where you're going faster, and there's big open spaces and good quality highways, so utility outweighs casualty. Now, how about motorcycles? They're legal. I've ridden a motorcycle most of my life at some time or another, dirt bikes and road bikes, both. If you ride a motorcycle, the fatality rate is nearly 22 times higher per mile traveled versus a car. Not great odds, but it doesn't stop almost 9 million motorcycle riders in the U.S., including me. We even take risks while walking. Drivers hit and killed 3,304 people walking in the U.S. in the first half of 2024. How about getting in water? There were 4,012 unintentional pool drownings per year, yet we still issue permits for backyard swimming pools. I guess we decide enjoyment and utility outweighs the risk of the loss of life. In open water, it's about the same, 4,500 drownings. We know climbing a mountain, Mount Everest, 12 deaths in 2024, but that's not banned. What about amusement parks? 30,000 injuries annually, and fatalities still occur despite all the inspections. But no one's shutting down all the amusement parks in the United States. So we're making conscious decision that a certain number of deaths are acceptable. Hell, the government paid subsidies to the tobacco industry despite a proven link to cancer. Nothing is risk-free. I get it. So here's the question. Who decides how safe is safe? A lot of deaths aren't accidents. They're decisions. Deliberate or not, someone decided what was acceptable. Was it lawmakers, regulators, corporations? Or are we all just signing off by living with it? Is it okay to trade lives for speed limits, convenience, lower cost, profit? And every day we see double standards. In Massachusetts, raw sushi must be frozen or cooked to kill parasites. Yet they allow certain fish to be exempt. Raw milk is banned in many states for food safety, yet alcohol, which is linked to 178,000 deaths annually, is legal nationwide. They took swings off of playgrounds, yet football is played nationwide and has high concussion rates. What's the conclusion? Am I saying ban cars, pools, football? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying know the deal that's being made. Every time you buckle in, sign a waiver, or drop your kid off at camp or for football practice, someone has decided what level of risk is acceptable for you. And those are often driven by something besides safety. And you should just know you are having that decision made for you. Do you trust the watchdog? Sometimes they're asleep at the wheel. Sometimes somebody paid off the driver. So I'm just saying be situationally aware. When I go to an amusement park, it's not the ride that scares me. I look over at the person who put it together. And if he or she has a bottle of booze in their back pocket and they haven't bathed in a week, I'm thinking, it's not the ride that scares me, it's the person that put it together. How close are they watching this? I just think it's important that you be aware and you make the decision and not rely on somebody else to decide what's the acceptable risk in your life. Because when it's all said and done, the consequences are yours, not theirs. And that's the real story.
Wherever you're getting the real story, make sure you subscribe and follow. I'll see you tomorrow.
Homeowners, when's the last time you checked on your home title? If your answer is never, then this is for you. Scammers are stealing titles and your equity is the target. Criminals forge your signature and just like that, your home title can be transferred out of your name. That's why I partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code PHIL at HometitleLock.com and you'll get a free title history report. Plus, you'll get a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title. Urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code PHIL.